was watching a live stream on a channel called I Hypocrite, and I watched some of his stuff before. He's good, and he had Brittany Venti on, and they were watching a video of this sex therapist who is trying to advocate for MAPS, which is pretty disgusting. What that is it stands for minor attracted people, because they've been trying to push this for a while. That's like the next big thing. You know, I remember when the whole thing came up with gay marriage years ago. I've always known gay people, I've had them around me. Sometimes my detriment, but you know, I know some regular just people who, you know, happen to be gay. But when the marriage thing came up, I don't remember what year that was. Everything in this century just kind of mashes together to me. Everything post 7/11 just kind of feels like one thing. And in a way it is, and there's a black magic aspect to that. But anyway, that was, I remember at the time, I remember arguing with people like, who cares? Like, marriage is some, you know, thing that we treat with dignity. We don't. I mean, you know, divorce rates. I didn't see it as some sort of sacred thing. People would tell me, they talk about the slippery slope, you know. And they're like, oh, if we let this happen, they'll be fucking dogs. They'll be marrying their dogs. I'm like, oh, come on, man. You know, that's not going to happen. Those people were right. Because what it did is it emboldened the bad elements of that movement to say, hey, you know, look, they accepted this. Now they're going to accept everything. And then after that, you know, came all the transgender stuff and all the polygamy stuff. Like everything was, you know, on the table after that. And then we have the married couples adopting kids who they then abuse, which is common. I mean, you know, the media doesn't like reporting on it, but I've featured some stuff here about that. It's like, if there's only some way we could have known. But anyway, the whole end game of this is to get to that. They want that. They want that more than anything. So they have to go through the whole, like, you know, degenerate alphabet first and get people used to all this other stuff before they go for the kill shot, which was the point from the very beginning, I would argue. Because the people that push for this stuff do that stuff. And they want it out in the open. They don't want to have to hide this, because it takes a lot of resources to hide this stuff. And it's hidden pretty well. And I think mainly it's not because they don't want people to know they're kid bonkers, but I think it's ties, and it's tied so closely to the organ trade. I think that's what they're really trying to protect, because they're hand in hand, these two industries. And while I think they feel they could find some sympathy in the kid thing, they know for certain that there would be pushback for the organ thing. So the organ thing has to remain hidden. It has to, because that basically runs the world. And it's too big. That system is too entrenched. There's nothing you can do about that. It's just going to be. But I think trying to normalize the kid thing will then protect the organ thing, because to most people it's like the final frontier. Like, you know, that's absolutely the most degenerate. There can't be anything worse than that, can there? You know? And plus there will always be pushback to the kid thing. So it runs interference for the darker, larger trade. And I mean, it's only darker by degrees, really. In some cases, some of these people would be better off with that as an option than the other. I mean, you get your life ruined anyway, in most cases. But yeah, so this is what they wanted. from the beginning. And they had this sex therapist on, which Brittany rightly pointed out, who would fuck this woman. It's always these kind of women, right? Like these sex therapists, none of them are good looking. You know, like the same ones that will, you know, a lot of feminists are like that too. You always see them out at the, you know, anti-rape culture. Like we have a rape culture. If we have a rape culture, the reasons for it aren't reasons anyone's prepared to talk about. So, I mean, you know, I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, this is what they're pushing for. Now, I've always been of the mind that there's no way people would let this happen. There's no way. There's no people would push back. But I think that even if people wanted to push back, how would they push back? Social media spaces and internet spaces have this weird tendency of creating what happens out here. You know, if they can establish something online in some way where it's normalized in some fashion, even the fact that it's talked about a lot or seen a lot, on some level that normalizes it because people see it all the time, even if they don't accept it. So, but it has a tendency sometimes for those online spaces to creep into the real world. So there is a real danger that it could be normalized without anyone being able to say anything against it. Well, not normalized maybe to some, but accepted. Or people will just be like, "Hey, let's just, there's nothing you can do about it," right? You know, a lot of people don't like some of the other stuff that's been, you know, sort of normalized, or at least on the surface accepted. The grooming of children, which is, I mean, that's all school is for, I think, now. You know, I had that, you know, my end tag has always been don't blame the teacher, blame the school, but I don't know, I think you could blame both of them these days. But if you were to try to push back against that, okay, the maps thing, in online spaces, you'd just, wherever you are, you'd lose your account for bullying. Because these tech companies, I mean, they're tentacles of the beast. They are the beast. I mean, that's what they are. So they want this stuff, right? So if you say anything like, you know, these people should be burned, which is what should happen, you know, you lose your whatever kind of account or whatever thing you could say that with, you know. It would be called inciting violence. That finds something to throw you up. So that it would be very hard to stage any sort of pushback online. And if you can't push back online, like I said earlier, online things have a tendency to just become accepted begrudgingly, because people start to feel like, well, it's, you know, it's all, there's nothing you can do about it. And then if you let it get to that point, they'll protect those people the same way trans people are protected. And socially, they become some of the most powerful people in society because they're so protected. Got the corporations behind them, got big tech behind them. If you say anything or dissent in any way about them, I mean, that's hate crime, hate speech. They can demonize you in a million ways, and it's enough to get you kicked off wherever you're having this conversation or wherever they're having this conversation. So it's kind of screwed up, because it's like there's almost nothing you can do about it. So I don't know what the answer is. Like, I was thinking to myself, like, what would I do? What could I do, you know? Just, you can't do anything online because you'll get fucking banned. They'll say, like, oh, you're being mean to the poor maps. I mean, it's the same thing as like they were saying on the stream, like Venti was saying, like, what's next? You know, murderers? Like, you know, come up with a new name for murderers and be like, well, murder is just a part of what these people are. You know, like they say the maps. You know, we don't like to use the word pedophilia. It has bad connotations. It's like, what do you mean? It's the same thing. It means the same thing. It's that what you talk. It's like, well, we don't like to call them murderers. We call them, you know, whatever stupid name they can come up with. And I say that as like joking, but I mean, that's the next step, or that seems reasonable. But I don't think they would care to do that. I don't think that is what they would do, because the end game is they just want death. There's no advantage for them to normalize murder. That's not. But to normalize this would save them a lot of money, save them a lot of resources, save them a lot of time, and it would run cover for the larger secret they're going to keep hidden, which is, I was going to say tangentially, but it's not tangentially connected to, it's almost hand in hand with it, which would be the organ trade. So it's like a fuck situation. So what could you do, just as an individual trying to fight back against that? You wouldn't be able to do it online. And what are you going to do, like in person? Become like a vigilante? I mean, yeah, that'd be awesome, but I don't have I'm not physically fit enough for that. And I don't have the resources. But so what can you do when this comes? Because it's not coming, it's here. It's here. This woman, this sex therapist, this demonic fucking shit shell full of demons. What are you going to do about that? These people are already out there. You can dissent, but you're going to be silenced. This is a tough one. But yeah, we let it get to this. I let it get to this by arguing with people. Who cares what they do in their bedroom? It's like, well, they're doing it in the street in front of kids, and then they want to talk to those kids because that lifestyle, you can't create new people. You have to make them. So how do you make them? Well, you turn them into them by using some dark methods, abuse, sexual abuse, and that begins with grooming. It's crazy, because anything you say, like I said, anything you say against it in a online space, you're going to be silenced, because the tech companies want this stuff too. It's their team, it's their group. This is a tough one. There's got to be a way. Like even like with on the iHypocrite channel, him and Brittany talking about the making fun of this lady. There's a lot of terms of service that they indirectly or through a technicality are probably violating. This is a lifestyle, you're bullying, you're being, it sounds crazy, but that's what the deal is. So what do we do? What do you do? It's going to take some thought. There's a solution. I had like 10 final solution jokes just go through my head, but I want to stay on here for a little while longer. Don't blame the teacher, blame the school.